Hey friends, what is up? Ash here with Gents. Hope that you guys are doing really well. We're gonna take a little trip in time today. We're gonna go over the most popular fragrance release from each year from 2012 up to this year, 2022. So we're gonna see which fragrances ended up being the most popular with you guys according to Fragrantica.com and see how tastes have changed and evolved or stayed the same over the past 10 plus years. Like I said, these are the most popular fragrances according to Fragrantica.com, sorted by masculine scents per year. So am I saying these are the best selling fragrances? No, these are the ones that most of you guys out there in the community though have apparently shown the most attention to, making them popular. So let's jump into it, let's check these out. So there's technically 11 fragrances here, one for each year from 2012 through the current year, even though 2022 is not done yet. And these fragrances will change over time because some of the fragrances that are the most popular on the website now were not the most popular, say, a year ago. Because as time goes on, people's opinions ebb and flow, and maybe some fragrances that weren't quite as popular initially will catch on and become like cult favorites as time goes on. We're kicking it off with 2012, the most popular release from that year. Makes absolute sense because this is the best-selling fragrance for that house currently, and it's consistently a bestseller on retailer websites. It's Versace Eros Eau de Toilette. So this one I can't argue with a bit. When you say, oh, Eros is the most popular release from that year, I'd just say, yeah, of course. There were some other big releases that year like Spice Bomb or L'homme Sport Eau Extreme, but nothing that touches the popularity of Eros, both on Fragrantica apparently and also in stores. Eros is a great performing fragrance with a lot of sweetness, a big compliment puller, and like I said, Versace's best-selling fragrance. So 2012, this is the one. The best release or the most popular release from 2013, I don't actually own a full bottle of. The only one out of this entire list that I don't own. I have smelled it, I've had samples of it, I've worn it, I just haven't bought it yet. It's from Maison Margiela and it's Jazz Club, which absolutely surprises me to the max. And it's not that Jazz Club is a bad fragrance, because it isn't. It's just not what I think of immediately as the biggest release of the year, according to everybody that's voted on that website. Other releases from that year include Bentley from an Intense, which is really a big fragrance only within the community. That's not a massive fragrance for just your average everyday person. But I think the biggest fragrance release really for that year was Paco Rabanne Invictus, at least to me. Now, of course, you guys know I'm not in love with Paco Rabanne Invictus. I don't worship that fragrance or that scent profile at all, but there's no denying how influential that fragrance has been. And if you're holding up to me Jazz Club and Invictus and you're telling me, okay, which one of these fragrances had a bigger impact on fragrances in general, it's not even a question. But on Fragrantica, Jazz Club, biggest fragrance of 2013. Now we're moving on to 2014, biggest fragrance from that year, Bleu de Chanel Eau de Parfum. And this makes a lot of sense. I mean, it's Bleu de Chanel and it's the most popular iteration of Bleu de Chanel. So of course this one's gonna win out. I mean, kind of obvious. That year you also had the original Valentino Uomo, you had Dior Homme Parfum, you had Fahrenheit Le Parfum, Bulgari Man in Black, L'homme Ideal from Guerlain. But really, when you're looking at popularity, this one is not going to get beaten by any of those. So Bleu de Chanel Eau de Parfum 2014, pretty easy win for that one. Just about one of the absolute best designer blue fragrances that you'll ever smell. Now we're coming into 2015, and 2015 had some heavy hitters. Acqua di Gio Profumo, The One Eau de Parfum, Dior Sauvage Eau de Toilette, Spice Bomb Extreme, Ultramall, Tom Ford Noir Extreme, and more. So huge fragrances came out in 2015, really dwarfing most of the years that came out before it as far as fragrances that are still relevant today. And what was the biggest release, the most popular release from 2015? That one, Club de Nuit Intense Man. Not even Dior Sauvage, the best-selling fragrance right up there with Bleu de Chanel currently on the market. No, not that, the Aventus clone from Armaf. That's more popular. Now, of course, as I've talked about a couple times, this is through Fragrantica. So this is people that you would assume know a little bit more about fragrances than your average everyday Joe. And of course, this is a very divisive fragrance because it is the most popular clone, the best-selling clone of Aventus out there. And there are a lot of opinions about this one. People saying it's complete garbage, that it's trash. People saying it's amazing and fantastic for the price. And those two sides are basically going to be at war until the end of time. It's like the War of the Roses, except it's the War of the Aventus. But this guy right here, most popular, beat all those other ones. It's kind of mind-blowing. Now we're in 2016. There were good releases that year as well. Maybe not as many huge ones as 2015, but still solid ones. L'homme Ideal Eau de Parfum, Valentino Uomo Intense, Versace Dylan Blue, 1 Million Privée, that one was awesome, rest in peace. Ferragamo Uomo, Armani Code Profumo, all those. Most popular one though, Prada L'homme. I do question what Prada has planned for this line. It doesn't look very promising, but I'm hopeful that they build it out more and they don't just can the whole thing. I say that because a lot of the flankers, actually the majority of them now that came out in the Prada L'homme line, are no longer available, and that's kind of a bummer. This one is hailed as one of the best designer office fragrances on the market, and I agree. It's very clean and soapy, a bit powdery from the iris in here, but it smells fantastic. Love this one from when it first came out, Prada L'homme. Moving on to 2017, we had Stronger With You come out. We had Prada L'homme Intense come out. Luna Rossa Carbon came out, which smells quite similar to Dior Sauvage. You had the Y line kick off with Y Eau de Toilette. You had Aqua Atlantique from Bulgari getting into the blue fragrance realm, but none of those were the most popular release of the year. That was this one, Dolce & Gabbana's Light Blue Eau Intense. And this one's a little bit more divisive than you would think. It's a really good performing marine type of fragrance, you know, very citrusy and sea salty, very fresh and easy to wear fragrance for summertime. So you would think, oh, that one is not going to be divisive at all. And yet there are a lot of people out there that say this is one of the most overrated fragrances that has ever come out. But on Fragrantica, most popular release of the year. And to be fair, over the years, you know, having worn that off and on and off and on, I think it deserves it. It's a really solid designer fragrance. And that one for me single-handedly kind of revived the light blue line, made it interesting again. Now on to 2018, and you had some big releases that year. You got a new Sauvage, a new Bleu de Chanel, you got Wanted by Night, Gentleman Eau de Parfum, Eros Flame, Luna Rossa Black, Mustache Eau de Parfum, 1 Million Lucky, Acqua di Gio Absolu, Ferragamo Uomo Signature, a bunch of big releases in 18. But the most popular of them all, Y Eau de Parfum. And this one took that Y line and just shot it to the moon. It took Y from being this fragrance that kind of got busted on and made fun of as being boring and only good for maybe an office type situation or a casual fragrance in spring, but nothing to write home about. It took Y from that and put it right up there next to Sauvage, next to Bleu de Chanel. And Y Eau de Toilette, I think, is better than a lot of people give it credit for. I think the versatility there is fantastic. The compliment factor is very good, but there's no denying that Y Eau de Parfum takes that compliment factor, which so many people are after, and takes it to the next level. It has better performance. It's more attention grabbing. It does everything that people want designer fragrances to do, and it does it really well. And now every time a new Y fragrance comes out, people pay a lot more attention to it because of this one. 2019, not as many big releases in 2019. It was so-so. You had Code Absolu, which I love. You had Stronger With You Intensely, which I think is better than the original in pretty much every way. You had Toy Boy from Moschino, which got a lot of hype, a lot of excitement in the fragrance community, like the little tight-knit fragrance world, but then didn't do as hot outside of that. And the most popular one from that year, Explorer. So Club de Nuit Intense Man, that is an Aventus clone, and that's the most popular one from that year. This one, most popular the year it came out, and it also smells like Aventus. What does that tell you? It tells you if you do an Aventus style fragrance pretty well, and you're a brand that people are aware of, then you have a good shot at having one of the most popular releases of the year, according to the people that vote on Fragrantica, for what that's worth. And when this very first came out, actually, a lot of people were saying how stupid it was. I wasn't absolutely in love with it, but to be fair, I did buy it at full retail. At discounters now, it's so much cheaper. It makes so much more sense, and it's a great buy nowadays. But even not including the discounted prices, just how much I paid for it full retail. The more I wore it, I got over the issues that I had, and I grew to really appreciate it. Because I was one of those guys who was saying, oh, but it's so derivative and it's not doing anything new and blah, 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 blah. And while that may be true, the fragrance itself is still really, really solid and people love the way it smells. 2020, that was a year. Some of the bigger releases we had were the new Eros Eau de Parfum Acqua di Gio Profondo, which I absolutely love. Dior Homme 2020, which took a beating, but then I came around to love that one too. 1 Million Parfum, L'homme Ideal, Extreme, and more. But the fragrance that is most popular right now, L'homme de Parfum. And I think originally it was Dior Homme 2020. For a little while, that one was ranked as the most popular on there. And a lot of that was because of the firestorm of controversy when the fragrance came out. It really boosted it up the popularity rankings. As people have kind of chilled on that, this one has come out and has taken the top spot, which is really interesting. I think originally, and I could be misremembering if I am, my bad, but I think originally when it came out, it was on Fragrantica's website somewhere in like that bottom of the top 10 range, like in the 5 to 10 range, 7th or 8th or something. And as more people have gotten this and worn it and talked about it and voted on it, it's moved up and up and up, and now it's #1. That L'homme DNA modernized, given a twist with that iris, I think it just smells fantastic. So even though I love Acqua di Gio Profondo and I love Dior Homme 2020 at this point, I'm not gonna argue with L'homme de Parfum being #1. 2021, we had the Most Wanted. We had H24, Light Blue Forever, La Nuit de l'Homme Blue Electrique, which was enormously popular and then just gone in the United States. Just Thanos snap, goodbye. We had Y Le Parfum, we had Phantom, we had Luna Rossa Ocean, we had Stronger With You, absolutely. We had a lot of stuff. We also had Jean Paul Gaultier launching Scandal for men. So a lot of fragrances there, and the most popular, Sauvage Elixir. Sauvage Eau de Toilette, Eau de Parfum, and Parfum, none of those the tops for their year, but Elixir is. And I love Elixir. I think it's a really, really nice fragrance. I think that versatility-wise, that Sauvage Eau de Toilette and Eau de Parfum are gonna be better for more people. But I think if you appreciate fragrances, especially from decades gone by, then you're really gonna like Sauvage Elixir. I think it appeals for the most part more to guys that are middle-aged and older, or at least like later 20s and older, because it does have a bit of that throwback style, like I said. But the performance is fantastic. The quality here is great. Sauvage Elixir, killer release. 2022. Yes, we are up to speed now. We're up to date. And we've had some pretty good releases this year, some pretty big ones. We have a new Acqua di Gio once again. We've got Dior Homme Sport, a new Light Blue, a new 1 Million, a new Terre d'Hermès. So there are a lot of big releases this year. It does feel to an extent that it's been a little bit underwhelming, honestly. There's some really good fragrances out there that have come out this year, but nothing that in a huge way has shaken things up. So as of right now, the most popular release on Fragrantica from this year is the new Gentleman Eau de Parfum Reserve Privée. So finally, one of the Gentleman fragrances getting up to the top of the popular list. And this one is darn good. It has that Gentleman Iris DNA right there front and center. The whiskey in here, it's very nice. When I first smelled the fragrance, I wish that there was more. I wish that it was a little more boozy, had a little more of that touch. But then as I wore the fragrance more, I realized having it reined in a little bit and playing as a nuance off the iris actually worked out fantastic. Maybe if it would have gone too overboard with the booziness, it would have started to muddle things or drown things out, and it wouldn't have worked as well. So Eau de Parfum Reserve Privée, as of right now, most popular release of the year, and I don't disagree. It's really, really nice. We'll have to see at the end of the year if it makes the very top of my favorite releases of the year, but it's gonna be a contender for sure, and I'm hoping that we get some more nice fragrances before the end of the year, but we'll see. So there you have it, guys, the most popular releases from 2012 up to today. Let me know in the comments which of these most popular releases you would replace with something else from that year. What would it be, and what are you gonna replace it with? Thank you guys for hanging with me. Thanks for your support. Stay safe out there. I'll see you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you guys later.